talked about how it plays a part in the occult. A lot of people say drugs aren't in the occult, or drugs aren't in the Bible. You can do drugs, you can sell them. Well, not true. Look at history, right? Drugs are in the Bible, considered sorcery, and we also talked about the effects of marijuana and all that kind of stuff. Next is Dark Arts Part 4, and we're going to talk about actual Satanism. There's a lot of confusion about it, and we want to set some things straight. Alright, so yeah, Dark Arts Part 4, Satanism. The first verse will be... Can you help me set this up?
You just press the space bar.
There we go. Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
John 8:44. You are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. This verse is talking about it's Jesus basically getting on some people who thought they were all holier than thou. But he was able to see the heart of the matter and was able to tell the truth about these people, that through your actions you show who you're serving. Okay, and we do that all the time. You ever want to wonder if a person who's going to church, if they're really for real about the faith, look at the things they do, their fruits. Amen? Alright, if they start stabbing brothers and sisters in the back and betraying the pastor and all this kind of craziness, causing sedition, you know who their daddy is. Alright? This is also biological. Alright? A lot of times, you say something like, oh, you got your dad's attitude, or you got your mom's way of thinking, right? That does get handed down, right? Through mental, processing and all that stuff, being raised by somebody, you start to take on the attributes of that person, right? A lot of times, they tell me I got ways of my biological father, and I got ways of my, father who raised me. And, I'm right with either one. But, Satanism is something many Christians don't understand. Some see it and fixate on it, and though well-meaning, will see it under every rock. Others are completely blind to it and its workings. Now, what I mean by see it under every rock, I don't see Satanism under every rock. I see it under every other rock. Okay? And the reason I say this is because there's a lot of things in culture, there's a lot of things in politics, there's a lot of things that we do that it has a hidden meaning to them that we may not understand. All right? For instance, right here, this is a picture of a council meeting that they was able to get the right of the leading board members in Pensacola, Florida, to have a high priest of the Church of Satan come in and start the meeting. You know how they always pray in the beginning of a meeting, right? So they had a Satanist come in with his people, and they prayed to start out that meeting. Having some technical issues. If we had a screen, we could put up stuff like this happen play. Be right back, get on that. Right? Yeah. They could have like a caricature of me. Yeah. Alright, there we go. Okay. Oh, there we go. Although true practice of Satanism is hidden in the shadows of society, it functions on two planes. That word repeated. The two planes it functions is open Satanism, alright, is considered like mainstream, main thought, alright, the open established religion, because it is established religion. You can look up in records of different cities, and they actually have, their own tax bracket and everything. The other plane that it operates on is secret Luciferian. Alright, these are the real dudes, people who, alright, when you see a guy walking down the street wearing all black fingernails, alright, pentagram on his chest and all that stuff, sometimes these guys are just these hardcore rocker guys. Alright, these guys, they love to party, they identify with the devil, and they love doing drugs and all this kind of different stuff. It's spiritually, it's harmless in the fact that they're not actually going out and committing, heinous rituals in order to appease the devil. A lot of times these secret Luciferian types, they're businessmen, okay? They're mayors, they're teachers, all right? Actors, musicians, people who they meet in the beach and they do rituals and they may have a pentagram under their shirt, but they're suit and tie, white collar kind of people. Also blue collar kind of people, people who come off as harmless, but when you get to know them, there's something funny about them. We've come in contact with a lot of people like that. This family. It's easy for skeptics to deny the existence of satanic cults and wave off the Church of Satan like just some strange religion. The crimes details are murky and stories are unclear in this day and age. Any religion going against the God of the Bible and as vocal as the COS, the Church of Satan, they are treated like misunderstood victims. All right, it's easy for people to just nonchalant throw it to the side and say it's just a bunch of weirdos, a bunch of kooky dudes. They get together, they feel that they mean something when they worship the devil. On the other side of that, there actually is a very big epidemic and a very big problem with occultic crime. There's a lot of investigators who for instance, in Ohio, in Chicago, in Texas, they have actual occult crime units. People who look up these different individuals who commit ritual abuse and sacrifice and gang rape, deal drugs, okay, put out hits. They're basically like a satanic mafia, okay? And a lot of people choose to say that's isolated events and it really doesn't mean anything, but there's a lot more to it. Human trafficking is tied in a lot to it. A lot of times these guys who they call themselves Satanists, like out in the open and all that, they look at God like he was the authority, right? The strict authority who the devil went up against him and he won, and now, man, there's freedom for everybody. We're free to be, a bird to be, all that kind of liberal kind of stuff that causes no good for society, right? But they're treated like victims. Why? Because Christianity in this country, in this day and age, is treated like some kind of perpetrator. It's treated like some institution that is enslaving people in their minds and all that. 2 Corinthians 4:4, in whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine into them. Anybody who is choosing to follow the devil is following him because they have a different perception of what the devil is. Okay? A lot of these hardcore Satanists say when they go to hell, it's going to be one big party, a big orgy, where they're all going to do drugs and do rock and roll and all this kind of stuff. None of them take into account what's in the Bible. None of them do. None of them look at hell like some kind of just a place for torment and torture, gnashing of teeth, is how the Bible describes it. So the devil's able to pull the wool over their eyes and blind them. So we can't 100% just, if somebody's believing in Satan, right, following Satan, we can't condemn them to the point where we don't want anything to do with them, right? We do have to minister, we do have to talk to them, we do have to at least show them the facts and get them to understand, right? And if, they do what they will with it, all right? Television shows Satanism as a small group of teens in the forest trying to sacrifice a cat or desecrate graves, and Satan as some horned, red-skinned, pointed-tailed ghoul running around taking bad people to hell. Right? That's the classic image of Satan. Right? That's how they always show him. Just what you see here, just a little red dude, almost naked in every single scene that he's in, and they show isolated events where these Satanists they go and sacrifice a cat and do all this kind of weird stuff. Many crimes have been committed, so much so that many jurisdictions have occult crimes units because of the numerous cases. This being said, most of these crimes are not covered in mainstream news and treated like a tall tale. Evidence is lost, witnesses prove unreliable or go missing. While DNA supports the claims, it's not enough in the public's eye to become an agenda. The three boys on the very top were three victims of, occult sacrifice. The three guys in the middle, those were the perpetrators. Damian Eccles, Jesse Kelly, and then Charles Baldwin. These three guys decided in their head that they was going to go and do a big ritual for the devil. Okay? So they found these three little 8-year-old boys. They not to get too graphic, but they sexually abused them, all right? They mutilated their private parts, and they murdered them and left them in the woods, kidnapped them right from under their parents' noses. I mean, I think we can all agree, anybody who would do something to three little boys like that, I mean, look at these cute little kids. One of them in the Boy Scouts, you know? Could have easily been your next door neighbor or your son. These kids just went up and went missing. There's no use for people like that. But these three guys, at the time, they were 16, 17, and I think one of them was 18, and they got it in their minds to do this. And this is the actual crime scene of where they found one of the boys. The other two boys, they found them floating in the lake nearby. Christians are very guilty of putting their heads in the sand when it comes to Satanism. Although the Bible speaks about Satan and demons, also speaks on people who worship and serve their purpose, the common idea is that it does not exist or it is too much for the average Christian. All right. On one side, people are saying it doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. All right. I just showed you that's a lie. It doesn't happen. All right. Or they're misunderstanding the facts. It happens a lot. On the other side, a lot of pastors, people I've talked to, they say it is too strong for my congregation or too strong for the average Christian. In a way, I agree with them that this day and age, Christians can handle that. They can. Okay? A lot of the Christians you get nowadays are some wimpy Christians. They're not used to praying. They don't really know the Bible. All right? And I'm not trying to step on these people and, think that I'm better than them, but it's just pointing the facts. All right? It's hard to say that you're a strong Christian if an atheist can use the Bible to make you look like a fool. Right? And I've seen it happen to a bunch of real supposedly strong Christians. And like I said before, I've seen pastors who just don't want to talk about it, don't want to bring this agenda to light. Like I said, I understand it on one point, but on the other hand, it's something that we should know what's going on, right? I mean, we're all aware of the devil, amen? All right, we're aware of the devil, we're aware of his schemes. In the spiritual, wouldn't we want to know what he's doing in the physical? Because this is something, if the police want to know about it, we definitely want to know about it if the devil's doing it. 2 Corinthians 11:14, and no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Luke 10:18, and he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. You have to understand, Satan is treated like the bad boy, like he's the rebel, right? And how many people, when they're younger, they want to be that rebel, they want to be that bad boy, they want to go up against the power and the man, like a rebel without a cause, forget about you guys, forget about the rules, I'm bad, all this kind of stuff, I break the rules, and in that way I make my own rules. Well, that's what the devil was doing when he was cast down from heaven, all right? I know many of you guys know the story of the devil, was cast out of heaven because he started to create a rebellion of angels against the one and true living God. Now, how you could get that in your head, I have no idea at all. But that was taken care of, and we still got to deal with the effects of it ever since then. 1 John 5:19, and we know that we are of God, and the whole world lies in wickedness. Again, this is not about us saying that we're better than these other people. Okay? In a lot of ways, we're better because we just won't stoop down to that level. But we also see that there's a hurt, there's a pain, there's an emptiness that a lot of these people have, in their hearts and in their minds. Like the verse says, we know that we are of God and the whole world lies in wickedness. We need to be able to see what's going on around us. Call a spade a spade. I see a lot of Christians who, like I said before, Christianity to them is just a warm, hot and fuzzy cup of cocoa kind of, religion for them. It's not true. It's not. It's fabricated to them. It's something that you tell to yourself in the mirror every day so that you don't, you're not scared of the boogeyman when you die. All right? That's how I see a lot of Christians treated that way. A lot of people use it as a humanitarian religion or as a religion of confidence building. All right? But this thing is when you're low on confidence. All right? You believe in the one and only God, the Savior, Jesus Christ. When you're standing on the top of a mountain, when you're surrounded by like this, a world that lies in wickedness, all right? Like I said, we got to be that that light of the world, that salt. This is Anton Zandor LaVey. His quote is, "Satanism is not a white light religion. It is a religion of the flesh, the mundane, the carnal, and all which are ruled by Satan, the personification of the left-hand path." Okay. This is the founder of the Satanic Church. Okay? He's the one who brought it to light. He petitioned to Ronald Reagan in that day that Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, they all have religion. They have freedom of religion. And under our constitutional right, we should be able to exercise that religion. And because of, the way things are set up, and because, the way the country is set up, they were granted that permission to be able to make Satanism an actual established religion. The Church of Satan was established in April 30th, 1966 in San Francisco, California. It is an international organization and was established to preach and follow Levian Satanism. All right, the goat right there, it represents different rituals, but the little words or the little scribbles, on each point, they are Hebrew and they stand for the word Leviathan. Leviathan is the big, great serpent that lies in the ocean in the book of Job. All right. Levian Satanism it treats Satan not as a god, but it treats him as an icon, as a representation of something. The members go from average Joe to big-time celebs. Their members pay dues and practice their millionaire-funded religion. This is an international religion, okay? Marilyn Manson, we knew he got all kind of stuff, okay? Anybody who know who Marilyn Manson is, right? Right? Jumping up and down in a thong, sweaty, and putting on all these different eye colors and everything. So it's understandable that he would want to become part of this. But on the bottom, you see a brother, Sammy Davis Jr., okay? One of the whitest black men that I've ever seen in my life. And he's hugging and embracing Anton Zandor LaVey and this other guy, which is a degenerate piece of filth, Michael Aquino. He is a very high, top-ranking military official. Many, many times, cases of sexual abuse, cases of ritual abuse, cases of murder have been brought to him, and he's been acquitted of every single one. He's been able to get rid of evidence. He's been able to deny everything, all because he says it's not a religion that is, promotes violence. This guy is still alive, and he's been pointed out by many kids. Okay, many kids have said, yeah, I saw him do this to me, right? And he's here talking with Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr., everybody knows, famous actor from, way back when. He was a member of the Church of Satan.
Explain about Michael Aquino is the founder of other church.
Oh yeah, Michael Aquino is actually a founder of another church, a sister church. Is this guy, the guy with the Elvis-looking haircut? All right, he founded a church called the Goat of Mendes, or the Church of the Goat. You got a lot of. If everybody want to at least write that down or look it up later, so for reference, you can get a better understanding. According to the members, they don't worship Satan or the devil or any god. They say that Satan is Santa Claus to them. They don't believe in the entity, but they believe in his ideology. The picture right here is Anton Zandor LaVey and his daughter, Xena Shrek. Like Xena Warrior Princess? Yeah, and then the word Shrek, like the big old green dude from the movie. But it's spelled different, alright? Why his last name is different than hers and why they got these crazy names and all that. They do. They change their names a lot of times. There's one guy I think she got married to. His last name was Beowulf or Wolfhowl or something like that. They always want to change their names to this dark stuff and all this kind of crap. All right. So what they're saying They're saying we don't believe that there's an actual devil. We don't believe that there's a spirit world. We don't believe any of this Judeo-Christian mythology exists. But we believe in the representation or the icon of Lucifer, the devil, the great rebel who stood against God and his tyrannical reign of heaven. So they were basically painting a picture of God as this big dictator, all right, who was giving everybody rules and being strict with everybody. You have to worship me and all this stuff. And then Lucifer, in their eyes, not me, in their eyes, was a great rebel like a Mexican rebel Pancho Villa or some American revolutionary who stood up against the man, the power, and all that kind of stuff, and was able to liberate his people through mental freedom and all that stuff. And that's how they live their lives, liberated from morality. All right, they won't call it that, but that's what it is. A lot of people, these guys get into crazy stuff, and I mean stuff like I can't even talk about because we do have kids here. Its members say that their only God is themselves, and that the way they worship is by finding their true selves and satisfying it as much as they can. One of their holy days is not Christmas. One of their holy days is their birthday. Okay? They are the end all and be all for themselves. They are their own God in the open statement. They take the do what thou wilt idea to heart and treat it like gospel. They will do anything to be happy or satisfied. Sex, drugs, and any perception of self is allowed. That means they can say there's a lot of transgenders here. There's a lot of homosexual people here. Anything that is going to make me feel happy and make me okay with what I see in the mirror. Now, that sounds familiar, right? Right? So familiar with a lot of people we know. A lot of people who we know who don't worship the devil, who want to get high enough so that they're okay with themselves. All right, want to play all this noise and get into all these clubs and stuff so they can, because they never can sit still and quiet and think without being tormented by their thoughts or their emotions. I was one of those people. Like I said before, they get in orgies, drugs, anything they can that is going to make them feel pleasure. But as you know, pleasure only lasts so long. These are the 9 satanic statements. These are actually like commandments of the satanic church. Satan represents indulgence of abstinence. Satan represents vital existence instead of spiritual pipe dreams. Satan represents undefiled wisdom instead of hypocritical self-deceit. Satan represents kindness to those who deserve it instead of love wasted on ingrates. Satan represents vengeance instead of turning the other cheek. Satan represents responsibility to the responsible instead of concern for psychic vampires. Satan represents man as just another animal, sometimes better, more often worse than those that walk on all fours. Those who, because of his divine spiritual and intellectual development, has become the most vicious animal of all. Satan represents all of the so-called sins as they all lead to physical, mental, and emotional gratification. Satan has been the best friend to the church, the best friend that the church ever has had. He has kept it in business all these years. Like I told you, it's an international organization. These guys, they pay dues. All right? These guys are millionaires. When Anton LaVey, he's dead. All right? He went on to go on wherever he went. But he died a very, very wealthy man because of this. One thing they say, Satan represents vengeance instead of turning the other cheek. A lot of these guys get into it because they feel like they've been bullied by the world or by other people. Right? They feel that living the Christian life, a lot of times it's just being the sheep to be slaughtered, and you got to let everybody else, just walk all over you. And so they look at it like, I'm taking care of myself, okay? I'm going to be about myself, you can be about yourself. They don't care about the masses of people. They only care about the survival of their own self. Many members are said to be atheists and love the idea Satan, the great rebel, challenging God's authority. Their rituals supposedly are to bring enlightenment of self. Supposedly, this is what they say, that the rituals that they do, and they do rituals, all kind of weird stuff, they do it because supposedly with these rituals it can unlock an understanding of ancient times, and it's just a tradition and ritual that helps you become more aware of yourself. This ideology of me, myself, and I is the New Age doctrine of thought, and as we've covered before, it has its roots in occult and satanic beliefs. Drug abuse. We just talked about that last week. Okay? Drug abuse, drugs, sorcery, alchemy, alcohol abuse, the same thing. All right? Getting so plastered drunk that you have no control of yourself and have all gratification. All right? Homosexuality. One of the biggest things to spit in God's face is an absolute turnaround from what God made us to be. God made me to be a man, made women to be women. When we reverse that, we reverse the exact thing that God made us, our function. Fatherlessness. God is the Father. All right? They're very feminist in their ways and their views. As you can see in society, in the black community, in the Hispanic community, in the white community, fatherlessness is a big issue. John 10:10, the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life and they might have it more abundantly. John 3:8, he that committed sins of the devil, for the devil sinneth from the beginning. For this purpose the Son of God was manifested, that he may destroy the works of the devil. 2 Corinthians 11:3, but I fear lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Christ. We talked about it last week. The death, burial, and resurrection, the story of Jesus Christ, our salvation, our whole reason for being here, our whole reason for being saved. It's a very simple story. So before these kids could understand it. All right? But it's so easy that they play it against itself. They say it couldn't be that easy. You're so low down, you can't be saved. And a lot of these Satanists, a lot of them don't like it. And I mean hardcore people. They don't like it because the devil is scary. Okay? Dealing with darkness and serpents and doing all these rituals and getting so deep into drug abuse that you don't know if you're coming or going. They don't like the light. But they look at themselves as so low that Christ would never want to bother with them. Would never care to even look at them like even a creation of his anymore. The other side of Satanism, the secret side, is what makes nightmares. The untold truth of what true Luciferians do. As I said before, the crimes are being committed, and police took notice that much of the crime in the city, either directly or indirectly, has ties to satanic covens. All right, I don't know if everybody understands what satanic covens are. They're just groups of people who believe in the devil, believe in Satan. All right, basically like a gang. All right, like their own little church. They raise money by pimping girls, pimping guys, selling children, all right, committing murders. A lot of these guys are big in organized crimes. Satanism has had ties in the Italian mafia, in Hell's Angels bikers, all right, in a lot of biker clubs, and also in street gangs. Like I said before, these guys are involved in human trafficking and basically any crime you can get a hold of. At one point, they found out these guys were selling human body parts to other covens so that they can do rituals with them. Human trafficking, satanic ritual abuse. Satanic ritual abuse is basically the equivalent of sexual, physical, emotional, and mental abuse of a child ever since they were young. You see a lot of this in the families that are satanic and the families that believe in the devil and all that stuff, and they worship him. They will train these kids. They will even torture their kids. All right, ritually have sex with these kids, and distort the way they think, so that when they grow up, right, they already have a distorted way of thinking, a way of viewing the world, and it makes it easier for them to follow the devil and all that stuff. But also, these guys have by the time they reach 13, they've had almost 100 rituals done on them, even when they're in the womb. Drug dealing. murder, kidnappings, fraud, money laundering, anything that's going to make money, they get into it too. So it's not just these guys who go into the woods and go into the cemeteries and dig up dead bodies and all this stuff you see on TV. These guys are organized. All right? Like I said before, a lot of these guys are white collar. Anything to keep the movement going. And on the other side of this, okay, a while back they were finding out, and I mean like in the 1920s, 1940s, 50s, they found out that a lot of members of the Italian government were members of the mafia. They found out that a lot of high-ranking union officials in the United States were members of the mafia. You see a lot of times in, the music industry, a lot of rappers are members of gangs. The same thing goes for satanic covens and satanic worshipers. A lot of times you see that judges, teachers, okay, people who are supposedly preachers, okay, big members of the government have satanic lines being drawn to them. I don't know if anybody remembers this past election, the whole deal with spirit cooking. Anybody ever heard of spirit cooking, right? The whole ritual that they was doing of mixing all these bodily fluids and, conjuring spirits in this liquid, and everybody gets a taste of it. And one of the people who was involved, this was all discovered when they got a hold of Hillary Clinton's emails. The emails, again, they found out the guy Tony and John Podesta, the brothers, big people in government, were committing these. A lot of people say by speculation they were committing these satanic rituals, but because of what they were talking about, because of the secret code, it's easy to see that these guys would come to different art openings and commit these rituals. What was the name of
Abramovich?
Abramovich. This actor, this artist, her last name was Abramovich. She was the one bringing all these people together, and I mean celebrities, Hillary Clinton herself, Bill Clinton, Slick Willie, as a lot of people know him. All right, these right here, these are actually trail markers and satanic symbols that they use to mark ritual sites and to mark covens and all this kind of stuff. All right, I'm going to just explain some of them because it can get pretty lengthy. On the top, you got trail markers. There are many forms of directional trail markers which are employed by formal or casual occult groups alike. These markers indicate locations where occult activities may take place and how to get there. Each of the markers depicted above shows a small circle or starting place, then a direction to be taken. The rise or fall of the line shows hills, rise or valley fall type terrain. Other marker types could be a pentagram on the right or left side of the road, and even on a house or building, markers may be very unique and only apply to one group. All right. A while back, I would say maybe about 2-3 years ago, I wanted to test this and I wanted to see if I could actually find any of these things. So what I did was I actually went to the forest. Me and a couple of people from the church we used to go through, we went to the forest and we found them.